Warning, warning, this is a propaganda alert. Gun violence perpetrated by Joe Average down the street is not what we should be concerned with. What we should really be worried about is gun violence perpetrated by government. Here are a few facts for people to consider.
Now, what do we got to do? Because let's be, and Sarah's right, people's intimidation on this issue is not defined by just Republicans. There are Democrats intimidated by this issue. Wrongly, but intimidated, and they think their politics and their community is such that they can't do this. The truth is, what we need again to get moving on this legislation is put together a crime strategy like we had before, which is why we passed the bill today on the cops, putting money back into putting police officers on there, getting voices for change, and then making sure that we have a president, I cannot put my partisanship aside, a Democratic president, who will take that office and use it to protect the streets and the kids that grow up on those streets, and make sure that we once again have an assault weapon ban, a Brady bill with the full force of the law on the land, because we need somebody in the Oval Office that moves this Congress. We had an election about change. People are clear about the special interest. They are tired of that gridlock that special interests cause in Washington. And I think the most simple thing we can do, and we've got to make this a #1 issue as a test vote and then take it into the election. That is, if you are on the no-fly list because you are known as maybe a possible terrorist, you cannot buy a handgun in America. And I am not one far from liking the mixing of politics and policy, but as my old boss used to say, give me that vote and throw me into that briar patch. I'll make politics out of that every day, because if it's between that terrorist list and the NRA, I know where America is going to be every time, and they're going to make the right choice, and we have got to start building on that. That is the right thing to take into the election, and it's the right policy. If you're on that no-fly list, your access to the right to bear arms is canceled because you're not part of the American family. You don't deserve that right. There is no right for you if you're on that terrorist list. That should be #1 in what we do.
Did I just hear that little vile tumor of a human, that wretched pivot man for the corporate penis, say that he wants to make it illegal for everybody who gets on a terrorist no-fly list to be able to carry a gun? Oh my God! Okay, let's have a look at this no-fly list, shall we? First off, 9,000 people a day are falsely identified by this list.
The Washington Times, the conservative paper, today reports that among the 9,000 false positive hits per day on the terrorist no-fly list are some federal air marshals. An anonymous agent told the Times in some cases, planes have departed without any coverage, meaning no marshals, because the airline employees were adamant they would not fly. Another agent said, has been getting harassed for 6 years because his exact name is on the no-fly list. You heard me. Because of this always growing, all-consuming terrorist no-fly list, some of the people who are supposed to be on the plane to stop the terrorists on the plane are getting mistaken for suspected terrorists and being kept from getting on the plane.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the score. That is what is being dealt with. And he's calling it reasonable to not have a Second Amendment right if they, and no one will, it's secret how they put you on the list, no judge, no jury, no arrest, no indictment, no facing your accusers. They just say, and by 2007, it was 700,000 plus people with 20 plus thousand added every month. And now it's over 1 million people on the list and growing. Over 1 million people. Over 1 million people. And federal marshals last year in the Denver Post came out, senior ones, and said, look, there are no terrorists out here. We're ordered at the airport. Let us tell you how you get on a no-fly list one way. And you can go pull up the Denver Post article. They said, if you take a picture of your children while you're in the gate, or if you take a picture out the window, you are put on a terror list for life. That's just one way. Or you don't pay income taxes, you're put on the list. This is harassment. This is like going to your door of your apartment and you haven't paid, so there's a big lock on it. Or going to your car and there's a boot on it. because you haven't, paid. But this is your Second Amendment right. Oh, you haven't paid the offshore bankers.
My life is measured by this glass by all those little sands that through pass. See how they press, see how they strive, which shall with greatest speed and greatest quickness fall. See how they raise a little man, and then with their own weight do level it again. But when they have all got through, they give o'er their nimble sliding down, and move no more. Just such is man, whose hours still forward run, being almost finished ere they are begun. So perfect nothings, such light blasts are we, that ere we are aught at all we cease to be. Do what we will, our hasty minutes fly, and while we sleep, what do we else but die? How transient our joys, how short their day, that they creep on towards us but fly away. How stinging are our sorrows, where they gain but the least footing, there we will remain. How groundless are our hopes, how they deceive our childish thoughts, and only sorrow leave. How real are our fears, they blast us still rend us, still with gnawing passions fill. How senseless are our wishes, yet how great, with what toil we pursue them, with what threat, yet most times for our hurts, so small its deed, like children crying for some mercury. Escapes for marriage, yet his fickle head knows not what cares wait in the marriage bed. This vowed virginity, yet knows not what loneliness, grief, discontent attends that state. Desires of wealth and others' wishes hold, and yet how many have been choked with gold. This only hunts for honour, yet who shall ascend the higher, shall the wretched fall. This thirsts for knowledge, yet how is it bought with many a sleepless night and racking thought? This needs will travel, yet how dangers lay, most secret ambuscados in the way. These triumph in their beauty, though it shall, like a plucked rose or fading lily fall. Another boasts strong arms. Alas, giants have by silly dwarfs been dragged unto their grave. These ruffle in rich silk, though never so gay. A well-plumed people is more gay than they. Poor man, what of? A tennis ball of error, a ship of glass, tossed in a sea of terror, issuing in blood and sorrow from the womb, crawling in tears and mourning to the tomb. How slippery are thy paths, how sure thy fall, how art thou nothing when thou art most of all.